I want to welcome you to this class. We'll be looking at properties of Nigerian soils. Properties of Nigerian soils. And for this second to the last class, after this, we only have one more class to go. So today, we'll be discussing actually Nigerian soils have their own peculiar properties. We started discussing Nigerian soils last week. And today, we are looking at the properties of the soils of Nigeria. Yes. Nigerian soils are a mixture of different things, which include rocks, minerals, dead, decaying plants, and animals. The reason is that, yes, we have a lot of parent materials in Nigeria, constituting rocks and minerals and several of them. Also, we have different classes of vegetation, forests, shrubs, savanna, and several of the vegetation areas, grasslands, mangrove land, and the rest. So the activities taking place in these areas contribute significantly to the type of soil that is formed. As we know that when materials from the plant, when they decompose, they turn to the organic portion, part of the soil, whereas the decomposition of the mineral materials form the inorganic part of the soil, whereas the presence of water and air takes care of the other part of the soil, about 50% of it, and all of that, which are shared at a reversal condition between water and air. So soil can be very different from one location to another. But generally, soil consists of organic and inorganic material, water and air. Together with physiography, soil constitutes the most observable element of a landscape. If you look at a particular landscape, yes, maybe hilly, maybe slopey, maybe valley bottom, maybe a mountain top, maybe mid-slope, maybe any kind of physiography you may be thinking about. The most observable element in this physiography is soil. You will see that, yes, this is soil in this area. So soil characteristics express and reflect the environmental condition, particularly the climate. The climate of a particular region also affects the kind of soil that is formed. So soil characteristics express and reflect the environmental condition, especially the climate. For instance, if in a particular region there is constant rainfall and all of that, it's going to determine the kind of soil that is formed in that area compared to the desert region, the arid region, and the rest of it. I realize that the climatic condition prevalent in a particular location has so much to do with determining the kind of soil that is found in those areas. So a fertile soil must supply adequate nutrients, yes, and be of good physical condition, as well as be able to hold enough water so that the nutrient in the soil will be available for plant uptake. So at the end of this unit, you should be able to identify the physical and chemical properties of Nigerian soils, as well as be able to mention the components of Nigerian soil. Now we'll be talking briefly about these properties of Nigerian soil. Broadly, or broadly speaking, the natural vegetation over a geographical area is essentially in response to the climate in that area. Nigeria's vegetation belt reflects this very close link between vegetation and climate. Look at the map of Nigeria. Most of the map we have, like you see, even the map showing the climatic belt as well as the vegetation belt. However, the climate determines the vegetation to some reasonable extent, because when you see a tropical rainforest region where we have excessive rainfall, more rainfall, mostly almost in about 10 or 10 out of the 12 months of the year, we realize that we have more vegetation. Right? We realize we have a luxuriant vegetation, taller trees, and a more canopy of vegetation in those areas compared to most areas such as the northern region that experience rainfall, say 4 to 5 months of the year, or just call it 3 months, active months, where you have enough rainfall in this area. So you now realize that, especially in the northern region, you see sparse vegetation that are not well dense, so to say, vegetation that are scattered and all of that, and you see a bare land that is stretching for some long length of kilometers away, bare land, because of lack of vegetation covering those areas. So with the south to north progressive decline in total rainfall and length of wet season, vegetation belts are demarcated on west to east zonation pattern characterized by transitional zones from one belt to another. They are influenced by soil type. So Nigeria has two broad belts of vegetation types, namely the forest vegetation and the savanna type. Forest type and the savanna type. There is, however, also the mountain vegetation of the isolated high plateau region in the central and far eastern part of the country. Generally speaking, the properties of Nigerian soil deteriorate while the chemical properties follow a reverse pattern. The properties of Nigerian soil keep deteriorating, whereas the chemical properties follow a reverse pattern. Characteristics of Nigerian soils. Soil is a layer of natural material on the Earth's surface containing both organic and inorganic material and capable of supporting plant life. So the material covers the Earth's surface in a thin layer. It may be covered by water, or it may be exposed to the atmosphere. Soil contains 4 main components, which include inorganic material, organic material, and water, as well as air. When we talk about inorganic material, we're simply talking about that part of the soil that was formed as a result of non-previously living thing that has been in the soil, such as the rock, soil that formed from parent material, soil that formed from rock, soil that formed from other soil components that are not, that they were not alive before then. However, when we talk about organic matter, organic material, these were things that they were dead, or they are emanating from dead, decomposed material that were all in the soil. It could be animal, it could be plants that were dead, and some part of them were still in the soil. They are what we call the organic matter. And the end product of organic matter is the humus. That is the end product of organic matter. Then we also have the water and air. Remember that in most soils, or in a particular soil, or call it a typical soil, we have about 45% inorganic material, 5% organic material, and then water and air constitute remaining 50%. So we have 50-50. So ideal soil should contain about 50% solid material and 50% pore space. About half of the pore space should contain water and half of the space should contain air. So inorganic material consists of rock that are slowly broken down into small particles. The organic material is made up of dead plants and animals in varying stages of decay. So the percentage of the four main soil components vary depending on the kind of vegetation, as well as the amount of mechanical compaction and the amount of soil water that are present in such soils. Now, we'll be talking about the description of the profiles of Nigerian soils. How does the profile of Nigerian soils look like? Soils are structural and functional elements of terrestrial ecosystems, which are formed in a historical process of development through the interaction of geological, climate, biotic factor at the respective sites. So soil is the fundamental source of life for all living beings. As the physical and chemical properties of soil exert great influence in the distribution and development of vegetation, it needs to be studied and evaluated from time to time. We need to talk about soil because there are a lot of variations taking place in the soil. So studying soil will help us to know, or constant or regular study of soil will help us to know the particular characteristics of the soil at that point in time. So the soil forming process is very slow, and time is taken. And time taking, yes, it takes a lot of time before a particular layer of soil formed. It takes normally thousands of years for soil formation. Therefore, we are studying the past activities while analyzing the soil profile at the present. So the parent material, the topography, the geological process, the climatic condition, vegetation, and human interferences play major role in formation and development of soil profile in particular area. Similarly, our activities at present will certainly influence the soil profile in far future. So we can see that Nigeria can be divided into 7 major ecological zones. Nigeria can be divided into 7 major ecological zones. First, we can see it in the Nigerian map as that is on the screen here. So we have the coastal swamp region, which includes the coastal forest, as well as the mangrove, as well as the deltaic swamp forest. Coastal swamp region, which includes the coastal forest and the mangrove, as well as the deltaic swamp forest. After that, we have the lowland region. And all of that. And also, after the lowland region, we have the Southern Guinea Savannah region. Southern Guinea Savannah region. Also, after that, we have the Northern Guinea Savannah region. Northern Guinea Savannah region. After that, we have the Sudan Savannah region. The Sudan Savannah region, as well as the Sahel Savannah region. Sahel Savannah region. All of this is somehow from top to the upper part of our map. Is where you have this the almost part of the Nigeria. As you can see in the map, you see all of that as they are in those areas. So now Nigeria agroecological zone. Nigeria agroecological zones continue. So the location and the extent of most of the region coincide with the vegetation zones of the country as described by KIA 1953, as well as Areola 1978 and Areola et al. 1982. So the 12 reference soils, such as the NG15 to NG29, they are all located in the southern part of the country in the coastal swamp, or also known as Region 1. So the moist lowland, which are the Region 2, as well as the coastal swamp region, include the creeks, the lagoons, the Niger Delta, and the coastal plains. So the mean altitude of the creeks as well as the lagoon area is about 40 meters above sea level, while along the coastal plains, the elevation is about 160 meters above sea level. So we have total annual precipitation ranges from 429 millimeter at Bonny in south to 1,755 millimeters at Lagos in the west. So the rainy season lasts for about 10 months in this area. Now, soils are mainly hydromorphic and derived from marine and lacustrine parent material. We talk about hydromorphic, we're talking about areas that are submerged, areas that are under constant the influence of water, of soil water coming out. When there is rain, water comes to cover the surface of the soil. And in most cases, you may call the place swampy areas. Those are areas that will grow some lowland rice and some other crops that like moisture a lot. So we now say that these soils are derived from marine and lacustrine parent materials. Marine and lacustrines are materials that are transported by agents of water. Most of the soils that are formed in these regions have been brought about from the adjacent upland, which the soil, the rainfall, the flowing of rainfall across these slopes would naturally drive some particles down to settle at the valley bottom, which end up forming a hydromorphic soil. So we say that these soils are derived from this marine coastal parent material. So the vegetation consists of coastal forest, mangrove, and deltaic swamp forest. And the mangrove forest is dominated by varieties of red mangrove, such as Rhizophora racemosa. So the swamp forest consists solely of slender trees. Also, reference soil 19 and 20, NG 19 and 20 are found in this region and described in soil brief Nigeria. So the moist lowland region is underlain by rocks system. So the landscape is undulating and marked by numerous domes of sugar loaf hills and by occasional flat top ridges. So the summit of the hill ranges from 300 to 600 meters above sea level, whereas temperature is high throughout the year, with an annual average temperature between 28 degrees Celsius and 32 Celsius. Nigeria now also say that the rainy season in this region lasts for about 8 months, and total annual rainfall is higher than 1,100 millimeters. The region is covered with lowland forest. The region is covered with lowland forest consisting of evergreen hydrophytic land with a large diversity. So the forest is characteristically stratified at the forest margins or in the area disturbed by man. Woody lianas form an almost impenetrable tangle. So the original or high forest is no longer as extensive as it used to be, and is now restricted to a few forest reserves in Ondo, in Benin, as well as a Cross River Basin along the border with Cameroon because of human interference. Now, the forest soil profile, when we look at the picture here, is actually showing the profile pit. And of course, in the profile pit, we have the O horizon. After the O horizon, we have the A horizon, and the B horizon, as well as the C horizon, all of that. So these are examples of what a profile looks like. So I want to, these are conclusion. A fertile soil must supply adequate nutrients, be of good physical condition, good enough water so that the nutrient in the soil will be available for plant uptake. So soil profile look different in different areas of the world. They are affected by climate, vegetation, as well as other factors. I want to thank you for listening to this. Thank you for participating in this class today. Remember that we are almost at the point of rounding off our classes in this semester so that you can concentrate and prepare for your exams. Always visit our course page on the eLearn to listen to the past section recordings in our instructional video, past section recordings in our online facilitation, as well as also watch the instructional videos which have been embedded into this very eLearn page to enable you have good understanding of what are being done. In addition to all of this, see endeavor to always study your course material, study them very well and very effectively. And as you do that, I assure you, you will have a very good, a very lovely time in this course. So thank you as I congratulate you in your forthcoming exam, wishing you the very best, knowing that you definitely will. Thank you and see you in our next class. Be blessed.